All right, everybody. Well, you may wonder, why am I indoors and yet wearing this polar type jacket? I've also got a little accoutrement here. I have this headlamp, right? Am I going to be doing any spelunking? No, I am not. I'm dressed this way because I want to talk about some new information that we got recently from one of Marilyn Manson's lesser accusers. Sarah McNeely. Now, you may not know who Sarah McNeely is because she has not sued him. She didn't have a prominent role in Evan Rachel Wood's hit piece documentary Phoenix Rising. She was in there for just a little bit in that group meeting where, they all like fake hyperventilated and cried and all that. Anyway, she was in that. And she was one of his original accusers in 2001 in February. She came out with allegations on her Instagram as well. But she kind of laid low, went quiet for a while, and she doesn't have the notoriety that some of the other accusers, like Evan Rachel Wood and Game of Thrones actress Esme Bianco, have. She didn't get a cover of People magazine. She didn't get a Rolling Stone spread. I'm not sure why. Maybe Evan and Esme and the others thought that this lady was just too nutty even for them. They didn't really want to push her out there and have her representing their bullshit stories. Now, why would I say that perhaps they think this lady is nutty? Well, this week, this woman, Sarah McNeely, she kind of emerged from the shadows. She'd been quiet for a long time, kind of emerged from the shadows and blasted Marilyn Manson, Brian Warner, with some new allegations. Now, I just want to remind you that this Sarah McNeely woman, this is the one I've talked about before. This is the one who is so into bondage and body modification and all of this stuff that she actually had holes put in her back so that she could be hung from hooks and suspended on stage in this suspension bondage weirdness insanity. All right. So this woman, and I've confirmed this. Also, you can find an advertisement, probably still online. I'll put it up if I have time for one of these suspension bondage shows. It actually shows the hooks going through her flesh. It's very sort of grotesque looking. Anyway, this perfectly, normal, perfectly psychologically adjusted, healthy woman who likes to put holes in her back and be suspended from hooks on stage, she accused Marilyn Manson of some additional things this week. Apparently, she says Marilyn Manson likes to have these sort of pseudo scavenger hunt relay things at his house where he can terrorize people for not finding the items that he wants them to find. Also, Marilyn Manson keeps his house at a freezing 60 something degrees, which we all know is covered under the Geneva Convention as sort of the ultimate form of torture, right? If you keep your house under 70 degrees, I mean, you might as well be Hitler, right? So anyway, he keeps his house really, really cold, and he's just constantly torturing people. So that's why I've got this with the the 60 something degree temperature. So that's why I've got, this polar jacket, so that if he ever does ask me over to his house to play this exciting scavenger hunt game, I'll be prepared and I won't have to like whine about it like some of these other ladies. Then apparently also they say Marilyn Manson, he likes a really, really dark setting with dark furniture and blackout curtains and no lights. And so to get around his house, apparently you have to wear a cave lamp. Right. So I just want to I've been doing these videos for 2 years. I've been hoping that at some point Brian would ask me to come over to his house and play one of these scavenger hunts. And so, it hasn't happened yet, but my God, what else do I have to do, Brian? But make these videos exonerating you to get invited to one of these really cool, edgy scavenger hunts. So I hope I get an invitation soon. But let's see what what Miss Sarah McNeely has to say about Manson. So she posted this the other day. First of all, we have this really awesome picture here of him. I guess she thought this was going to be some kind of confirmation that he's a monster and a psycho. Just throw up a weird, crazy looking picture with some blood coming down his face. Apparently, this is fake blood. Apparently, this was a staged picture that he made, she claims, as a joke about her overdose. Why can't we joke about people overdosing? I just want to say, if I ever to overdose, you all can totally make fun of it. All right? I don't see what the deal is. But anyway, she says, this post instantly brought memories flooding back. Trigger warning. God, I fucking hate that. I mean, that's how you know, like right off the bat, that you are going to be dealing with some major bullshit, some major aggrieved, woke bullshit lies, is when someone says, trigger warning. She says, this post instantly brought memories flooding back, trigger warning, especially to anyone involved in this case, abused by Brian Warner. Sort of some incorrect punctuation and so forth there, but whatever. She says, especially to anyone involved in this case, abused by Brian Warner. Fuckface would have absolutely terrifying fits. Half the time, one half, because we can't actually spell it out. Half the time, it was because something was lost and utterly important. God pray you weren't the last one to use it, or see it, or be near it. I would come to find out that it was he who hid the object. Okay, so you're working for this guy. No, you're not working for him. You're dating him. I get all confused because some of them are working for him and some of them aren't. So you're dating this guy, and you're saying that basically he would lose the remote control and he would get kind of pissy about it. That would include probably every man that I've ever dated in my life. Yeah. That'd probably include me too. I'm actually the one who's often losing the remote control and then like trying to figure out what, fuckhead, stuck it somewhere. And then it's always me. So I guess I'm terrorizing people too. But I've never dated anyone who puts holes in their back. So that sounds kind of like an interesting experience. You were scared to your core. Everyone running around trying to make it better. In the dark, no less. Oh, in the dark, in the darkness. You would be sorry if you turned on the lights. Headlamps only. Get it? Headlamps only. Sometimes this would be after you were up with him for days doing cocaine. They never say that, right? They never say that in any of this. It's like, oh, he just kept me up for days and I had no other choice but just to stay up with him. Or, oh, he was doing cocaine and so I had to do cocaine, right? But they just keep that out. It's just like this sort of mysterious thing of like, oh, he kept me up for days. Yeah, I understand. This guy did a lot of cocaine and during this period of time he was doing coke like constantly. And so you stayed up with him and you did a bunch of coke and you had a good time back then. But now it's not so convenient. So we're going to recast everything. It's like, oh my gosh, I was just staying up all the time and just, Anyways, headlamps only. Sometimes you'd be up for days, blah, 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 blah. So nothing made sense. Oh yeah, you'd be up for days. So nothing makes sense. Well, yeah, you do get a little like strung out when you do a bunch of coke. So that's probably why not much made sense to you at the time started McNeely, because you're probably all strung out on coke. Or maybe it didn't make sense to you because you're just stupid. Or maybe you're lying about all this. I think it's choice C. She says, you were just begging the universe for the said object to be found. Are we still talking about the remote control? So she says, you were just begging the universe for said object to be found. Him being absolutely cruel and violent to all in his path, trapped in this madman's fury, trapped in this cold loft. How about you leave? How about you walk out of the cold loft? Or just put on a polar jacket. Look, I get it. You didn't get what you wanted. He dumped you. And now you're trying to get whatever you can, attention and make Evan Rachel Wood happy. I noticed Evan Rachel Wood came out of the cave. Heart. Who else we got here? What other the greatest hits? I thought Esme Bianco was on this list of likes, but no, she's not. Anyway, so absolutely cruel, trapped in this madman's fury, trapped in this cold loft. In one instance, during the midst of chaos, full temper tantrum, he pauses and winks at my friend. Okay, so I'm still confused. So someone lost the remote control. You're trying to find the remote control. It's dark, you say, it's cold, and he winks at somebody. You're not actually saying that he's like hitting anyone or doing anything. She says once. Once she says violent to all in his path. And yet we never actually get any indications of actual violence. Not, oh, he hit me or he struck me or he, whacked me in the head or he drugged me by my hair or anything. We just get this sort of like vague, oh, he was just cruel and violent to all in his path. I'd like to know more specifics about this supposed violence. Of course, I've investigated this thoroughly, and I've talked to a lot of people, including a lot of former assistants and ex-girlfriends and all of that, and he was never violent. But anyway, says a full temper tantrum. He pauses and winks at my friend. I found out later. Oh, I found out later. Oh, that's so horrible. Oh my God. How did you ever survive the disclosure when your friend told you, hey, do you remember when we were looking for his remote control at one point? He actually turned around and he winked at me. Oh, the horror, the horror. All a ruse. All of it created by him to inflict abuse. To inflict absolute terror. And mind you, this could go on for hours. Well, if it could go on for hours, why didn't you get the fuck out of there? Oh, because you wanted to hang out with the rock star and all of that. And also, I don't believe any of this shit. But it's a good story. Actually, not very good story. It's kind of ridiculous. All of it created by him to inflict absolute terror. And mind you, this could go on for hours. Whomever, well, at least we're using some correct grammar there. Whomever he chose to find the missing object would be praised. Well, when I'm looking for the remote control and someone finds it, I'm kind of happy too. But then again, I don't terrorize people with a dark apartment or, inadequate lighting. So, whomever he chose to find the missing object would be praised. Whomever he chose to have seen the object last would be punished. We're still talking about this remote control. My heart still pounds hard. And I start to sweat. Even thinking about times like this. You haven't even told us anything. Okay, they love to drop, I'm just trying to explain here. They love to drop these words like violent and terrorized and cruel. And yet, what are they actually telling us? I'm not even saying I believe this because this lady's full of shit and they're all full of shit. I've demonstrated it and just look at all the videos I've done on my channel to see that. But at the same time, what's even really being expressed in the story? My God. Oh, and here's a photo of him making fun of me after he found out I had overdosed. And then there's a hashtag abuser, hashtag monster. Well, okay, if I ever overdose, then Marilyn Manson can make a picture like this and send it to me. Like, I kind of think this is like a collector's item. I almost kind of want to overdose if I can get a picture like this. Okay. So basically, I just want you to understand all that is being expressed here. When you take away like all of the bombastic language and the flashy words of cruel and violent and abusive, and you actually look at what is specifically alleged here, there's actually no violence alleged. There's no abuse alleged. What she's saying is that like the guy would lose some shit sometimes, and he would get frustrated, and again, like, come to my house. This happens as well. And that's it. That's it. And then this picture of him, give me a break. Again, this from a lady who put holes in her back so she could be strung up on stage. People can do whatever they want. I don't have an issue with that. Again, I don't have an issue with people cutting up or damaging their bodies, or even people have the right to kill themselves if they want to. So this lady has the right to do whatever bizarre, crazy, perverted, fucked up shit she wants to do to her body and on stage and whatever, right? But I'm just saying that it's not a great signifier of mental health or mental clarity or stability when you're putting holes in your back so you can be strung up on stage by hooks. That's all I'm saying. I know that's like really like an out there, sort of cutting edge proposition here I'm giving you. It's like, it's really sort of like hard to believe, but it's true. People who put holes in their back to be strung up on stage, generally, I would think not psychologically healthy. Look, these people are just hitting the bottom of the barrel now. That's basically what's going on. And I very much believe, you have Evan Rachel Wood jumping on with this. You have some of the others jumping on. I don't see Esme on here because I think Esme had a falling out with Evan Rachel Wood. But you see some of these different, different people, jumping on and saying, oh, I love you, I'm so sorry, et cetera, right? What's clearly happened here is that Evan Rachel Wood has had weeks upon weeks now, and these other accusers, but particularly Evan Rachel Wood, has had weeks upon weeks of absolutely horrible publicity. Ashley Morgan Smithline, one of the main accusers who was on the cover of People magazine with her allegations against Manson, she has come forward. She has recanted in a legal declaration. And so And the media picked that up, right? The media has run with that. And so Evan Rachel Wood has gotten a hell of a lot of bad PR from that. And so she's basically like they are in desperation mode trying to figure out something that they can put out to change the narrative. Well, let me just say, sweethearts, this bizarre post about losing a remote control and trying to find it, and then this image of him with fake blood after you overdose, this just ain't going to do it. This is not quite the Hail Mary pass that you need. So can Evan Rachel Wood, what she needs to do, let me give you some advice, Evan Rachel Wood. What you need to do to try to change this narrative, you need to falsify more evidence. Oh, wait, you already did that. Yay, that's right, because Evan Rachel Wood's side, she came out with more evidence recently to disprove what Ashley Morgan Smithline, the recanter who has exposed this hoax, to disprove what she is saying. And so Evan Rachel Wood and her team filed in court a statement by this guy named Carl, a supposed friend of Ashley Morgan Smithline, the one who's recanted her allegations against Manson. This Carl guy said in a statement, a legal statement to the courts, a declaration, that he had spoken to Ashley Morgan Smithline a while back, and that she had told him, this was way back months ago, he says, she told him that Marilyn Manson's attorney at the time, Howard King, had been trying to contact her in an unauthorized fashion because he was trying to tell her, hey, let's just talk, right? We don't need the lawyers or anything. Let's just chat, you and me, right? Which would be inappropriate for an attorney. And so this Carl guy claimed that Ashley Morgan Smithline told him that Marilyn Manson, months ago, that Marilyn Manson's attorney had been trying to unethically contact her. And this Carl guy claims that he has voice messages from Ashley Morgan Smithline attesting to this. Oh, okay. So you're saying that you have voice messages from this woman who recanted talking about inappropriate things that might have gone on between Marilyn Manson's attorney at the time and her. Interesting. Okay, so, I mean, you're going to produce those voicemails, right? Because, I mean, we can't just take your word for it, random Carl guy, friend of Evan Rachel Wood's or whatever. Like, we've had a lot of bullshit on this road. We've already had Evan Rachel Wood and others faking evidence. We know that she's a fucking liar, and we know that this whole thing is a hoax. So if you're going to come at me with more bullshit arguments, you're going to have to give me a little bit of proof. So I'm expecting that we have those voicemails, right? Even if we did, all that would prove is that Ashley Morgan Smithline was saying some stuff to this guy, right? Doesn't actually prove that the attorney actually contacted her, right? But it'd be nice to hear those voicemails. So you have them, right? Well, it turns out that they don't. They don't, because get this, Law and Crime, Law and Crime, right? And covered Johnny Depp and lots of legal stuff and whatever. They're big deal. Law and Crime requested access to these documents, like the voicemails that were mentioned in this recent court filing by Evan Rachel Wood. They requested the court file. They requested the voicemails because it's evidence, right? It was declared in this legal declaration. Carl said, "I heard these voicemails. I have these voicemails." Guess what? The voicemails are missing. They were not filed with the court. And I've been told by various attorneys that this is very strange and very unusual that you would have a declaration discussing evidence, pointing to evidence, and then that evidence that you supposedly say you have just doesn't get filed. So basically what happened, everybody, let me boil it down for you if you're not seeing this, is that Evan Rachel Wood got super, super, super desperate because she realized that she just got fucking creamed by a media narrative a couple of weeks ago, and that has basically zapped whatever credibility she might have had in some quarters. It has zapped it. Now, I know there's still some like hangers on, some of her defenders and like the uber, woke feminists and Me Too people and, Charlotte Proudman and all, Kat Tenbarge and all those people. I know they're still like hanging on to this narrative, right? They're like the Japanese who, they wouldn't leave the hills after World War II, and they had to like send some people in and say, hey, you realize the war is over, like we lost years ago. You can come out of the hills, you can stop fighting, right? Well, that's kind of where like Evan Rachel Wood and some of these are, like they haven't figured out that like they've lost. I know there's still a lot of game in this, right? I'm just saying, like, I'm starting to see the writing on the wall in this. And so they see it too. And Evan Rachel Wood knows that she just got creamed by a giant media narrative and that nobody cares about the follow ups. And see, this is the thing, Evan. You're now getting a taste of your own medicine because when you came out with your allegations against Manson originally, everyone just ran with it. There was no critiquing it. There was no one standing up except for me and like a few other people, literally, on the internet. There was no one else standing up for the truth, no one else standing up for Manson, no one else fighting Evan Rachel Wood's narrative. So she had, she had smooth sailing in the media and in public opinion. So Marilyn Manson got hit back then with a giant media narrative, and no one cared about the follow up. No one cared what he had to say. No, the narrative hits and you're done. It's like a fucking wipeout when these things happen, right? The wave comes and you're just done. And you have people, after people get canceled, then they have to kind of like get their bearings. Some of them like go away for a while and come back, but like there's this like, what just happened to me here? I'm just like shipwrecked on like an island trying to figure out what the fuck just hit me, right? Well, that's what happened to Manson. So it took a while, and he had to regroup, and he had to start getting evidence together, and some people had to come forward and tell the truth, right? It's been a long process, and we're still on a long fucking road. But he got hit by a major media narrative that just completely wiped him out. And he had to regroup, and he did regroup, and now he's fighting back. And what happened with Ashley Morgan Smithline's recent recantation is that the roles have reversed, and it's Evan Rachel Wood and all the other fucking liars who just got hit by a major media narrative. And so now what they're doing is they're the ones who are they're the ones. Now I get myself a concussion. They're the ones who are on their heels, so to speak, right? And so they're scrambling, and they're trying to throw everything that they can up there and see if something will stick, if something will change this narrative now of Evan Rachel Wood being a fucking liar and a scammer. But it's not working. So this was like their Hail Mary pass. Evan Rachel Wood got some guy, Carl, but this Carl guy comes out and says, yeah, so I heard some voicemails where this Ashley, Morgan Smithline, she told me like basically like, Manson's lawyer like said a bunch of stuff he shouldn't have been saying or whatever. And like I heard the voicemails from her. Okay, I've got the voicemails. Well, I don't actually have them and I can't actually submit them to the court. But I've got them. Oh, you've got them. Okay. Well, I have voicemails from Evan Rachel Wood admitting to everything. She got really wasted one night. And she called me. A lot of people don't know about this. Evan Rachel Wood got totally fucking trashed one night. And she called me and she just confessed everything to me. And I've got it on voicemails. I've got it on messages, right? And so I have it. No, you can't hear it. I mean, no, it's mine. It's private. I don't need to show you that. Just believe me. Just believe me. I'll even file a court declaration. I just won't give the voicemails to the court. You don't need that. Trust me. It's my truth, people. My truth. So, if Mr. Carl can say that he heard some voicemails and yet won't produce them, can't produce them, then I guess I can say that Evan Rachel Wood confessed the whole thing to me. And so, Manson, Brian, if you want to have me file a legal declaration with the court about the voice messages that Evan Rachel Wood left for me, where she confessed to everything, then I can do that. Now, I can't actually produce the voicemails, but that's not necessary apparently, right? It wasn't necessary for Evan Rachel Wood and Carl. They just have to say it. So here I am. I'm just saying it. Evan Rachel Wood confessed. It's all over, people. The remote control has been found. Everybody, thanks so much. I've got a lot of stuff coming out. I am kicking off a bunch of new interviews. I'm interviewing one of Marilyn Manson's exes today. I've got more stuff with Vanessa, who was on the set of Heart-Shaped Glasses and has completely poked gigantic boulder-sized holes in Evan Rachel Wood's bullshit story about that as well. All of Evan Rachel Wood's bullshit is being exposed and will be exposed. Yes, Evan, it's a long road that we have still in front of us, and it ain't going to be as fun for you as it's been so far. You can count on that, sweetheart. Everybody, I've got a lot coming out for you. If you support my work, I appreciate your tips. PayPal, Patreon, PayPal links are below. It is better than tipping through YouTube because YouTube takes more of your money, but whatever. Appreciate y'all so much. Check my work later on. Got a bunch of cool stuff going out. And yeah, keep it cold, keep it dark, keep it real. Bye.